been single for so long, and I never thought I would get married, and like, I want all the single girls out there to know that, like, I don't consider this an achievement. It's just part of my life right now, and I'm very happy. But wait for people who love strong women. Like, the men who love strong, independent women, they're out there. Don't settle for less.
They're out there.
Don't settle for anything else.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And now I'd love to talk about politics. If you don't
Well, we have to wait a second because we have to congratulate the Houston Astros for winning their very first World Series in franchise history. And Texas deserves some good news after what Hurricane Harvey put them through.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see, to see them say, hey, we're celebrating.
Yeah.
So it was very,
we have
very
somebody in the audience with an Astro shirt on.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Hey.
Very cool.
And I believe it's the pitcher also got engaged.
He did.
yesterday.
Correa got engaged, and he's from Puerto Rico, and he's been very vocal about Puerto Rico, so I was thrilled to see that also.
Thinking about it in the ninth inning, I was like, don't say that out loud. Your coach is going to get mad. Like,
I wondered if they didn't win, was he going to get engaged?
Well, if it does, it's a good thing either way, a win or a loss.
Let's just say he was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let's not start trouble in the family before they become
That's true. I'm sorry.
Okay, but speaking of family feuds, there could be one brewing in the White House. A Vanity Fair article claims that you know who is blaming the mess he's in on bad advice given to him by his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Now, I don't even know how to phrase the question. Why is this seemingly a surprise that why would you ask advice from
Well, he's a senior advisor, though.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know anything. You know what I mean?
Part of me feels badly for, a little bit badly for Jared Kushner, because I sit here and I'm like, when are you going to take credit for the fact that you came in with no experience, said you'd surround yourself by the greatest minds, not as great as yours, but great,
Right.
and then you picked a 36-year-old who has no political experience, who just happens to be family, who's never been in the White House either. Like,
But isn't he going to solve the Middle East problem first before they
that was
before
on
they
his
fire
to-do
him?
list.
Yeah, that's on his
working
list.
on that, allegedly.
Really?
Allegedly.
No kidding.
I
What
read
is-
that.
Really?
Yeah, he's been making trips back
He's been
and forth.
making trips.
But it is why they're having such a problem getting any legislative agendas passed, because they don't have anyone working in the White House, at least in senior positions, that have traditional experience in politics. And during the election, there was all this sort of like bragging that drain the swamp. Anybody who works in politics doesn't know anything. They're all horrible. It looks like maybe if you had some people who understood how to whip up votes and talk to Mitch McConnell, that maybe we would be getting more done. And Jared Kushner is supposed to be the antidote to all problems and the person who will fix everything. And it's fascinating, the internal politics of this White House, that he may or may not be being thrown under the bus.
Well, his daddy-in-law is pointing his finger saying it's his fault. I didn't do it.
What
Nope,
does
I
that
didn't
do
do it.
to the relationship with Ivanka? Because
He will turn on Jared, but not on.
It's
I
going
don't
to
think he
be
would
like
turn
a
on
super
Ivanka.
awkward Thanksgiving dinner.
I know.
I think the only one of his kids that he will not turn on is Ivanka. The rest of them are like whatever.
You think he would turn on Donald Jr.?
Yes, I do.
Really?
They never had a great relationship. If you read about it, Donald
Ivana
Jr. didn't even
raised
speak to
them,
him
she
for a
said.
while.
Yeah,
and
Ivana
Ivana
raised
said he was never around. But Ivanka, he loves Ivanka.
But he didn't sound all that worried when he was talking to an interviewer with the New York Times yesterday. He even pointed out, and I quote, "I'm not under investigation, as you know."
You know,
But one guy who apparently did not know that he wasn't under investigation was John Kelly. Take a look.
It is very distracting to the president, as it would be to any citizen, to be investigated for something while at the same time trying to carry the weight of what being president of the United States means on his shoulder.
Shouldn't they talk to each other at some point?
But that's what I think their messaging is off.
How guilty is the person who's constantly, "Hi, I'm Donald Trump. I'm not under investigation. Hi, I'm Donald Trump. I'm not." Wherever he goes, that's what he says. What does that mean? Because everything he says is the opposite of the truth. He knows he's under investigation.
Well, the campaign is under investigation.
And remember when he was running against Hillary, Do you remember when he was in the campaign, all he kept saying was, we can't have Hillary as president. She might be under investigation.
Yes.
Hello?
Well, I think that, you know, he certainly the Mueller investigation has broadened, I think everybody knows, and it's the ties, possible ties between Russia and the campaign. And so if you look at the fact that Papadopoulos, one of his volunteers,
he was a coffee boy.
He was a coffee boy, volunteer, perhaps a national security advisor. He's a cooperating witness now, right? So he's already pled guilty. He's working with the government, and that's how these prosecutions work. It's like bug, be, or turn. You either bug the person, or you turn the person, or you are the person.
How about bugging and giving him a deal and everything else?
Yeah,
because he's a 32-year-old guy. He didn't want to go to jail.
Well, but Hillary Clinton still is going to have to answer for paying Russian officials for this dossier and the DNC.
But let me clarify with you, because I don't really understand that story.
Yes.
So in other words,
do that when we come back?
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay,
Sorry.
we'll be right back.
No worries.
And now, some advice to our guests coming to The View.
When you step onto this stage, face these ladies, oh, you better be ready to roll, cause it is so on. This November, The View is everything.
Bam! Drop the mic.
Taking on the hottest topics and political exclusives. Then we're dialing things up with, oh, you ready? Tyler Perry, Justin Hartley, Garth Brooks, Mary J. Blige, Diana Ross, that's Miss Ross to you, and Kelly Clarkson. Oh wait, that's Kelly's song in this promo. Love so soft. Nice.
wait, there's more.
Yeah, we're also partying it up for Whoopi's birthday and throwing Sarah the most awesome baby shower ever. Hashtag crazy. This November, The View is everything on ABC.
For me also in this room. Hey, welcome back. So I know I interrupted you all in the midst of the conversation.
I had a simple question about the dossier and the Democrats paying for oppositional research. That's the accusation.
Russian officials, yeah.
Yeah, so I would assume that everybody does that. So what's the big deal? I mean, they want to know what's going on in the other campaign, and the other campaign is looking into them.
Because Russia is a foreign adversary, and there's so many accusations against the Trump campaign, which we don't know the truth at this point, that with Don Jr. meeting with a Russian official, there was no money exchanged in that I'm aware of.
Well, there was a bit of a promise, though, where he said, I love it.
But it sets a new precedent. Yeah. I think the problem Republicans are having is Democrats are saying, my hands are clean, my hands are clean. Hillary Clinton and the DNC didn't do anything, and it's turned out that they did exactly and possibly worse than what the Trump campaign did.
How could it be worse?
Paying Russian officials. Vladimir Putin, do you know that the worst refugee crisis since World War II is happening as a direct result of the assistance of Putin to Assad right now?
Well,
we never talk about that.
Let's start with this. Let's start with the fact that we know that Russia is all over everything.
Yeah,
they're all over everything. Now, whether they did it or not, the person who's in, the buck stops with the guy who's got the gig. Your dad told me that. The buck stops with the guy who's got the gig. So this investigation is going to go on. They'll investigate. I'm sure they'll investigate her. They'll investigate everything that has to be, but him first. And that brings us to this thing that we've sort of been hitting on last couple of days.
Can I just say a brief
why? Yeah, let me finish what I wanted to bring it to, because we've been talking about why it is that social media sites knowingly allowed people to interfere specifically into these elections.
Right, against Hillary Clinton.
Taking money.
But but the fact that they knew, that they knew that this was happening. Are they not culpable? That was what I wanted to get to.
I think it's important to note, though, that the dossier research began with the Republican Party, and that after the Republican Party sort of pulled away from the dossier research, that Hillary Clinton did do the oppositional research, but through a law firm. And the law firm has confirmed that it was completely legal, and they weren't paying Russian officials, they were paying a company using investigators. And I think that's really, that's a really significant distinction.
Not. But Democrats keep saying that their hands are clean. We had nothing to do with Russia at all.
I'm not saying anything about Democrats saying that their hands are clean, but I'm just saying the facts are the facts, and I think we just need to put those out there.
I agree. The facts are the facts. That Hillary Clinton, through an intermediary, and the DNC paid Russian officials.
Here's the real facts. Our social media folks let us down.
Yeah.
That is something we can do something about. Yeah. That's something I think we can do something.
That is the point I was trying to make when you just said, is that there is synergy between if you, Joy, Sunny, Sarah, and I all are in agreement that social media, especially Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, has to do a better job of making sure that foreign adversaries aren't able to influence our election and influence the way people view our politicians. That is a total and direct threat against democracy.
But let's also remember, though, that the Russian interference put Donald Trump in the White House. That's the bottom line.
That's not only the reason why. By the way, and then I'll let it go.
Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
No, just the idea that it is only Russia's fault that President Trump is in the White House is like.
Really,
what were you going to say?
Well, there's Comey.
Well, I was just going to say, I think this is a solvable problem, because they've come forward after Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Twitter. They've come forward now and said, we're going to be a little more transparent and show you this. They already knew before that this was happening. We can make them accountable. And I think the idea, whether it's accuracy, information, or recognizing when foreign powers are coming in with political messages, that's something on our soil. That's something we can solve. Russians' best minds are infiltrating ours. Our best minds have to fight back.
So and they're being held to task, I think, by the Senate and by the Congress.
And our best minds are telling us we have to go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Hard boss Chris Matthews is hitting the Hot Topics table next.
You are not ugly, Augie.
You say that because you're my...
Matthews thinks Robert Mueller's investigation is heading towards a bleak future for the White House. And he's also looking back at a political pioneer we lost far too soon in his new book, Bobby Kennedy, A Raging Spirit, which is currently #1 on Amazon. Please welcome Chris Matthews.
Thank you.
Chris,
it's sort of related, too, because Bobby is everything we don't have right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I know. Well, speaking of that, Paul Manafort, the opposite of Robert Kennedy. His former Trump's
the poor guy, when I first saw him, I thought he was a croupier. Didn't you think? He just seemed like he's used to casino life. I don't know what it was.
I think it's the dyed hair, maybe.
There was something about the Lounge Act. I don't know. Anyway,
he's pled not guilty.
Yeah, I know.
To the conspiracy charges that you would say, as you would say on your show. Thoughts?
I don't know if I say it.
Your thoughts?
Look, you have as much insouciance as I'll ever have. Look, I think the weirdest thing about I worked in politics, as everybody knows, for years. And then I worked in print journalism, and I've been in this TV thing for 15 years now. 20 years now, actually. And I never met a Russian. Okay, I'm sort of a regular American guy. I don't meet a lot of Russians. They're way over on the other side of the world. They speak a totally different language.
Well, they're in Brooklyn. They're in Brighton Beach.
Well, there's some.
Ton of them there.
Good point. Good point. So I keep wondering, why is this guy always dealing with people like there's Manafort, a Russian guy, Carter Page, a Russian guy. He's sort of the Kalo Caitlin of this thing. You don't know what Carter does, but he's sort of around the house, you know. And then you got Michael Flynn having dinner with who has dinner with Putin? And all these people hanging around with the Russia, and it's always Russia, Russia, Russia. And I go, there's something here. Guess. I think. The big economic thing behind it all, I think, is Russia is a dying empire. They've got gas and oil, and they've got a security force, secret police, the new KGB. So what are we hearing from? They're always trying to spend some over here, buy some influence, buy guys like Manafort, buy Carter Page, get into our pockets, try to influence our politics so that we don't talk about climate change. We go back to fossil fuels. We go back to their gas station again. That's what they want.
Don't they
This
want
is
to
all
breathe?
economics.
I don't get the climate change issue. Doesn't everyone have to breathe?
They want to sell their gas because they don't make anything in Russia. They don't know how to build anything.
Yeah, it's true.
People make stuff by buying Russian stuff and breaking it down to its original stuff because they don't have anything to sell. We're an original. We innovate. We do that stuff here.
So they used to about money. So it's about money. Let me ask you, do you believe that this investigation will be the end of the Trump presidency?
Well, let me look at it this way. If this guy's done anything illegal, Mueller's going to find it. Mueller, I mean, I'm not usually impressed by these Ivy League and prep school resumes, but this guy's got them all beat. And he's got the military background, not a hair out of place. He walks around lugging that 50-pound attaché case, and he always leans into it, you notice, to show how much stuff he's got in there. And I'm looking at him, he's like Columbo, too. You know, he's like, just one more question.
Yeah.
You got one more thing. I'm sorry. And I just get the feeling that he's not going to stop. By the way, they say, I'm not going to let him cross the red line. I'm sorry, Mr. President, there is no red line. If you read the mandate for the special prosecutor, you know, lawyer,
very broad.
Attorney, it says anything any criminal matter that arises from the investigation, just arise or did arise from it.
Yeah.
So anything they get his tax returns. They go.
Do they get Trump's tax
I
returns?
understand you don't have to ask permission.
Yeah, I mean, they are running the investigation. They should be able to.
Well, Bobby
subpoena.
went back and went after Giancotta and all those guys. He brought Mortimer Kaplan in from UVA as a law professor, and they said from day one, we're going to catch the mafia guys. We're going to use tax returns the way they got Capone.
Right.
And it was totally illegitimate, you know. So I assume he's got them.
One of the things I remember when I was little is going to your college tours. People don't know this.
Your dad was great. Your dad in Clemson was a rock star. When he came in, by the way, before the W people trashed him. No, everything about your mother and about your adopted sister and all that stuff. It was horrible what they did to your dad. By the way, you and I, we were all rooting for your dad.
It's a dark part of political history, for sure. But I will say, the question I have for you is, do you still think in like a time when comedians are resistant to go to college campuses, do you think it's still worth it for you to go around with candidates and do these college tours?
Yeah, it costs a lot of money, but it's worth doing. I love it. You know, Biden. If I could get Biden tomorrow, if I could get if I could get Elizabeth Warren, there's 4 or 5 people they'll pay for. You know, you just have to have a big guest, McCain, in a minute. Well, we're there tomorrow.
We'll get the
$250,000. I mean,
it's a really interesting part.
It costs a lot. See, look at this room. You're used to professional lighting. Lighting costs a fortune.
Yeah.
What we're in a room like that, you know, it looks like an old Italian movie if you don't do it right. It's just film noir, you know. But this room, you can see every face in this room right now.
Why do you think we look so gorgeous? Right?
What do you think of all
lighting?
It's the big price you pay when you go.
So let's talk about your book.
Sure.
It's only
I'm ready
a lot of time with you. So you've written and you've studied the Kennedys for years, right? I know you always talk about them on your show. And your book, is there anything juicy out of the JFK? No, not in the book necessarily, although there might be.
You know, I think
the JFK files I was referring to.
The files. The only thing I found in there, because I think. You know, Jerry Bruno was Kennedy's advance man, and he said pretty soon after Dallas that it was very hard to put a conspiracy together because they didn't know where the motorcade was going that day. So you get into the conspiracy, the Albert Stone stuff, you got to say, wait a minute, you mean they took the president to Harvey Oswald? I mean, that's not believable.
Well, there was some implication, some idea that Oswald might have been working with the CIA. That's one thing.
No, the first thing Bobby did, he loved his brother more than anybody, you know, he totally... First thing he did was he thought it was a Southern racist because everybody thought it was something to do with going down to Texas. Okay. They were spitting on Adlai Stevenson. They were doing everything. They said he's a traitor and all that stuff. And that wasn't the case. They found it was this disappointed, disillusioned, misfit communist. And then he worried about the CIA being involved. So he brings in McCone and Catholic to Catholic, on your soul, swear that this had nothing to do with it. So he thought that too. Then he got all the piles of evidence.
How about the
ballistics and fingerprints, and it was all, just a minute, I'll get to that. Because he thought that, and then he gets, it was Lee Harvey Oswald, but then was he a patsy? You know, the ballistics matched the fingerprints, but was he a patsy? That's what he said he was. Remember when he was arrested? He said, I'm a patsy?
Yeah.
So all through his life, Bobby would say he did it over in Poland. He did it when he campaigned in '68. I believe it's Lee Harvey Oswald. He acted this all by himself. His brother said that in his last book, Teddy, before he died. So they publicly, on the record, it was Oswald. But Ted Sorensen was very close to family. He said in his book at the end that he had this doubt in his mind, like any brother would. Here's Bobby. He's going after Giancana, the mobsters, going after a mafia
Who
guy.
supposedly helped him get elected, his brother.
Well, they did help.
Yeah,
Giancana, the old man,
helped.
Well, there's so many problems here. First of all, Jack's sleeping with Giancana's girlfriend. That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
Okay, and Bobby has to end that relationship. Then he's got to end the relationship with Sinatra, who was mobbed up, has to end that relationship.
Well, that's an allegation against Sinatra. You're talking to the Sinatra.
You can walk home safely tonight.
Just an allegation.
You protected yourself.
I did that for my
You can
Aunt
still
Julie,
work
okay?
the small clubs in Jersey. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so there was all this problem. The mob, they hired Giancana to kill Castro. I mean, all this stuff. And all the time, Bobby's prosecuting Giancana, going after him with everything he's got.
That was a mistake. That's like biting the hand that just fed your brother the election.
Not only did when you get him in his hearings before the Rackets Committee, he would say, Giancana would be giggling out there. He said, I thought just little girls giggled, Giancana. He taunted the guy.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that put people on meat hooks. Remember on the waterfront? That was him. Put the guys on the meat hooks, he killed them.
Feisty.
He was a hitman.
He was feisty.
And he was messing with it. Well,
Kennedy
more than
was
messing
feisty.
with his girlfriend, he was with his girlfriend. And there's 70 phone calls. J. Edgar Hoover gets a hold of this. He warns Jack, you better end this relationship.
What I want
But
is
Bobby all the time was trying to
podcast
clean up the
of you
mess.
explaining this. I want you just to explain all of JFK on a podcast so
Yeah.
I can listen to it. 'cause
That
you're
would be
doing
good
it well.
because we've run out of time in this segment.
Thank you.
But this, look up, just look into, read this book, but look into JFK. The whole era was so fascinating. And what happened in those days, that was just something. So thanks to Chris Matthews, members of the audience are getting a copy of the book.
Julia Roberts was a little annoyed when In Style magazine asked her how she feels about hitting 50. And she asked them, quote, did anybody go over this with George Clooney or Brad Pitt before their 50th birthday? Is this an issue?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, I know when I first started saying, you know, well, I'm going to be 49, I just turned 49. I mean, 49.
Me too.
So many people, including people that advise me, were like, oh, gosh, Sonny, you just aged yourself. Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? I'm like, why can't a woman own who they are? I mean, it's the youngest I'll ever be, right? So own it. But they do not question men the same way. They do not.
Well, even in articles, when you read an article, whenever they list the man and then who they're dating or someone, the woman always has a number after her.
I know.
And I'm
They
like,
do on
That is true.
Well, People magazine started that about 40 years ago. Lassie, 12. I mean, it didn't matter who you were.
Yeah.
Canine, human.
Age.
They told your age. And since then,
nobody's checking on the collie, okay?
I'm making a point. It's like everybody's age has to be out there now. I think it's people are afraid to die. They want to know, and they also want to know, am I ahead of these people? Is Julia Roberts more successful? Am I going to be like her?
Well, you know,
is she going to, you know?
Part of the problem, part of the reason people don't want to be aged is because there is some circle of people that believe the older you get, you're not viable anymore. That you don't still have all of the ideas and thoughts and desires and fun, and that's not with you. So people assume that you hit a certain age and they say, well, you know, your time is up. But I think that's ridiculous. I figure if you hit a certain age, be glad you're alive.
Well, there is that.
You know?
Being the oldest one at the table, I have to say, I was watching Big Little Lies the other day. Okay, and it's all about young women like yourselves who are raising children and having affairs and everything. And being married and getting divorced and all sorts of stuff. And I thought, you know what? I'm glad I'm old. I'm glad that I have finished with that worrying about where my children are at 4 o'clock in the morning. Having to worry about paying the rent, about sleeping with your husband and not wanting to, whatever it is. All of that is over.
It's exhausting.
And then you know what? That only comes when you get up to a certain age.
You know.
Yesterday.
But it is a cultural stigma that's innately American. Even sort of like in Japanese culture and Native American culture, elders are deeply respected. And even just, I think all of us, like, you know, watching your parents get older, I don't understand why we all get old. We all, our bodies all change.
If you're lucky.
And
I mean,
it's just weird that Americans, and I would specifically speak to Western culture, seems to have such a lack of respect for all that you achieve.
Because Julia Roberts is a woman, and her career is going to now change because she's 50 and she knows it.
Well, her career's been changing, and that's what everybody forgets. You know, every 10 minutes there's someone younger than you.
Yeah.
Every 10 minutes you turn around and someone is younger than you, and then you're playing their mother, or you're playing their aunt, or you're playing their grandmother, and then you're playing the dead one. It's hard.
But if they, you did that. But if they're making movies about young people, you know, I mean, Robert De Niro, whom I adore, and Al Pacino, whom I adore, great actors, and they're up there. They are making a big movie with Scorsese now. I don't know that Julia's going to get a part like that.
Well, she will. She's Julia Roberts.
She's a great actress.
She'll always work. Me, we'll find out. We'll be right back.
So how do you even begin to get into character when your roles look like this? Why Whoopi wants the Oscars to pay attention to the amazing Andy Serkis next. So breakups sting. How do you deal?
I eat my feelings, so I do have a little grocery bill.
I bought every book. I went to Vegas and spent an absurd amount of money at the blackjack table.
Listen, I go on a spree because I want something. You leaving me isn't going to prompt that to happen. As a matter of fact, I will have more money now that you're gone.
Keeping it real on The View. Keith Olbermann hits the table to give his take on Hot Topics.
So, War for the Planet of the Apes is one of the best movies I've seen this year. Now, it's out on DVD, and you need to check out the incredible performance of Andy Serkis, who plays Caesar, the leader of the apes, because it's absolutely Oscar-worthy. Watch.
My God. Look at your eyes. Almost human. How did you know I was here?
I was told you were coming. That more soldiers from the north would be joining you here.
Joining me?
To finish us off. For good.
So, please welcome one of my favorite actors, Andy Serkis. One of, you know, I love you.
I always say Andy Serkis is the most famous person you don't know you know already. Because he usually looks like that. He's usually Caesar or someone else. Or Gollum. But you were so great in this film, and you did a ton of research, as you always do, but you studied guerrilla movement in Rwanda. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was actually a few years ago on King Kong. So my affinity with apes really grew way back in 2003, 2004, and I wanted to, you know, when you're studying species to play a particular character, what you have to do is, I mean, the ape movement and the psychology and the physicality, they're all bound up together, but after you've kind of observed for months and months and months, and you've done all that research, you realize it's character at the end of the day. And no matter how much research you do, you have to make your mind up about what the character is. And that's really what you are, because these films are all about us. These films are seeing the world of human beings through the eyes of apes. So you do all that physical research, you study. I went and watched gorillas in Rwanda and monkeys in captivity and in the wild, and I based Caesar on a real chimpanzee named Oliver, who was called the humanzee because people believed he was the progeny of man and ape. And all these experiments were done on him. He stood bipedally up on 2 feet. He had facial expressions which were very human. So I based him on a real chimpanzee. But it's all come back to character, because, as you point out, you know, all this technology is just technology, and at the end of the day, you're playing a part, you're playing a role, and it happens to be an ape. So it's not just about copying 8 movements, you know?
But that's what I mean. The fascination of what you do is you have to combine. If you play a person in a movie, you can study and you have someone to base it off of.
Sure.
You're combining so many things. You're combining a psychology of an ape, but also with an evolutionary human component.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you're making choices with every move you make, every sound that doesn't exist in the world.
Yeah. I mean, one of the great things for me is seeing this evolution of acting. Because to me, you know, people will say, well, I would never think to nominate Andy as an actor for an Academy Award. Because you're thinking, oh no, this is something different. But the truth of the matter is, he should be nominated because he is acting. And when you watch the two of them, specifically when you watch Woody Harrelson and you together, those are two actors in some of the best scenes I've seen. And you forget, I forgot, you know? So do you think, I think there should not be a separate category, but you should be done as an actor. Do you think there should be a special category?
No, absolutely not. And I have to say just about Woody, and Woody came on your show recently, and you know, Woody I adore. He's the most, and you know, if anyone were to run for Congress alongside you two, I would have Woody. Then, you know, that would be a perfect... If there was a utopia, you guys should be in charge or running it in an egalitarian way.
Not yet.
I feel I'm getting to know you. We've danced together. And, I just know... I mean, the whole thing about... It's very interesting. It does question the whole nature of what acting is. Because is acting just being able to see someone's face on screen? Well, then of course, you go back and you go, well, Charles Laughton played the Hunchback of Notre Dame. You can't recognise Charles Laughton. He's unrecognisable. John Hurt played the Elephant Man. You can't recognise him. The artistry of the makeup that went to create that look. You wouldn't know it was John Hurt. Now, Gary Oldman playing Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour, you don't know it's Gary Oldman. It's the most amazing makeup. What is at the heart of all these performances? Brilliant acting. And so the difference, there is a sort of prejudice against people understanding the nature of putting on makeup. Going out and acting in front of a camera, but what we're doing is we're going out and acting in front of a camera, and then the makeup is being put on afterwards with pixels, and that's the difference. You know, what the director is living with in the cut is our performances for months and months and months, and then the visual effects artists translate our faces from my expressions to that of Caesar's, but it's literally putting on a digital mask. So,
well, that touches on the question I want to ask you, because one thing I'm fascinated is Judy Greer plays your ape wife in the movies, and she's talked about the difficulty of staying in a moment, because as I always point out, whereas actors have props and sets and there's a believability, you guys are acting on a set with those little dots.
Yeah, they're kind of retroreflective markers, and they pick up all of the information of your facial muscles. We've got these head-mounted cameras, and all of that information very subtly is copied and put into the computer.
Do you fall out of care? Is it hard sometimes to, because we see you in the final product, which is easy to see your brilliance here. But like, you're not looking at other apes. You're not looking but you're also looking at
apes. We're looking at human beings. We're looking at, but the crucial thing is you're looking at other actors' eyes. You're acting opposite them, and you're completely connecting with them. So you're as in character as any character that I've ever played in a normal live-action conventional way. You know, it's exactly the same.
My mind is blown.
It's what we were saying earlier, though. I mean, the great thing about this technology, and which is why it has to be accepted as a form of acting, is that it is the most brilliant egalitarian form of acting. It's the end of typecasting. No matter what age you are, going to your point earlier, what colour you are, what height you are, what sex you are, you can play any character.
And so this makes an actor's acting life longer. Because now we have a new form that we can play in.
You can play anything.
But I understand you just made your directorial debut.
Add it to the resume, people. He's a director now.
In a live-action film called Breathe, which Andrew Garfield and Claire Foy. And the project was personal to you. Why?
Yeah, because the actual subject matter are the parents of my business partner who set up the Imaginarium, which is our company which deals with this technology and also produces movies. So it's his parents' real life story, and I know them, and it is a beautiful inspiring love story, first and foremost, and about a couple who survive a terrible polio disability, but go on to triumph over it. It's a love story. It's
You
an
have to
amazing
come
love
back.
story.
You have to come back. There's just not enough time. Our thanks to Andy Serkis. Breathe is in theaters now, and War for the Planet of the Apes is available on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital on Movies Anywhere app. Everybody in the audience, listen, you're getting this. You need to watch this, and we will be right back. I'm telling you.
Look how beautiful it is.
Honey, we need to talk.